our mics were muted in the room. That's why you guys couldn't hear us. Okay, I am going to call our Tuesday, June 20th, Common Council meeting to order. Megan, will you please take the roll?
Davis? Here. Lampy? Here. Ford?
Here.
Bartz?
Here.
Blanky?
Here.
Smith? Schmid? Here. Wetzel? Here. Moldenhauer? Here.
Very good. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, the first item on our agenda is the minutes of the council meeting from June 6th. Questions, comments on those minutes? All right, our next is an opportunity for comments or suggestions from citizens present. I know we have one.
Jim Werbeck?
Jim, if you would please just come to the microphone by Alderperson Davis and just state your name and address, please.
Jim Warwick, 920 Laborie Street. That is a new address. It's adjacent to 924, the old farm property of Samuel Kuzel. The reason I come here tonight, we moved here about 3 years ago, and we're right on Laborie, right before you get to Riverside Park. Beautiful area, everything's great. Lately, there's been a lot of traffic due to the detour on 4th Street, which is fine. There's also been a lot of people traffic and kid traffic because of Brant Quirk being closed, that they're having softball tournaments there.
Mm-hmm.
My concern is as you drive through there, there's no clear delineation between where the road is and the parking lot. It's kind of been, over the years, just it's dissipated. There's also no clear crosswalks or signage to indicate where people should cross. I see the curb cuts there from whatever construction was done when they did the curb and gutter there, but there really is no clear delineation for pedestrians. In the summertime, in the spring in particular, the kids come there with the school bus field trips, and I see a lot of challenged people get off buses there and carts and walk across the street. So because the street curves, there's also blind spots from where you want to cross the street. So I think something should be done. I don't know if there's plans for it, but a clear delineation where the crosswalk should be and painted. And in springtime, it seems like that would be a great time to address it again for the coming season. So that's my main concern. Driving through there at night or in the rain, or even during the day in the rain, you just can't see anything. So it would really help to identify those areas, especially with the pedestrian traffic that crosses from the parking lot to the park.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Our Public Works Director is on this meeting virtually, and I trust she's jotted all these down. They're great ideas, and there is discussion about some work of that parking lot, so this is well-timed feedback,
Well, it
so
looks
thank
like
you.
It's probably due, so.
Good, I appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Mayor and council people. I appreciate it.
Anyone else that would like to comment? It looks like online we just have Jane Ellen, Christine from Park and Rec, and then Alderperson Board. All right, we do have another opportunity at the end of our meeting as well, but we also have 3 public hearings. So let's go through our first. The first public hearing is to amend Section 550-25F, Pren 2, Pren B. This is to reduce the lot width requirements for twin homes to 50 feet, to recognize the 0 lot line and the need for only 1 side yard. I will open that public hearing. If anyone would like to comment, please come up to the microphone by Alderperson Davis. All right, we'll close that public hearing, and those comments will go back to the Plan Commission. Our next is public hearing to amend Section 550-53C, Pren 1, Pren D, and 550-53C, Pren 1, Pren D, Pren 1. This is to restrict how close personal storage facilities can be located from one another within the general business zoning district. I'll open that public hearing. If anyone would like to comment, please come to the microphone. All right, we'll close that public hearing. Our next is to amend Section 550-105J, Pren 1. This is to transfer the decision-making approval of driveway curb opening to the Public Work Director, with appeals of the Public Work Director's decision to be heard before the Planning Commission. I will open that public hearing if anyone would like to comment. All right, we'll close that public hearing. And then our last is to amend Section 550-132A, Pren 3. This is to add permanent miscellaneous sign group since it was unintentionally omitted from our recent update to the city zoning sign ordinance. I will open that public hearing. If anyone would like to comment, please come forward. And seeing none, we will close that public hearing. All right, let's go to our reports. We have a handful here. You have the Park and Rec and Forestry minutes from April 17th, Historic Preservation and Downtown Design from April 26th, Plan Commission from May 8th, Licensing from May 10th, Tourism from May 11th, Plan Commission from May 22nd, Historic Preservation from May 24th, Public Safety from June 7th, Site Plan from June 12th, and Public Works from June 13th. Comments, questions? Mr. Wetzel? Yeah.
The Public Works should read June 13.
Yep.
It's been corrected already, but it will be set forth next week at the Public Works meeting. Also, in the Public Works minutes, there is a couple discrepancies. They did not come through in the formatting when it got sent by email. They've been corrected. They'll be sent to Public Works next week for
Okay.
approval.
So mainly formatting changes there. Okay.
And inclusion of some things that were left out in the formatting.
Okay.
So.
Anyone else on any of the minutes? All right. Let's go to communications and recommendations then. We have a few this evening. First is just a reminder that our next council meeting is for July 5th. That's a Wednesday because obviously the 4th of July is Tuesday, so please make sure you pencil that in. And then just plan a little bit extra time. That is the meeting that we'll hear from SEH, our fire station design consultant, and also Baird, our financial borrowing and financial planning consultant as well. So that's July 5th. Also in your packets is the 2024 budget timeline. I have to give kudos to Mark. It is officially the earliest it's ever been out, at least in my decade, mainly because I was the one who put it out and I waited a really long time. So if you see any things you want changed, questions you have, dates you know that are going to be super tough and you'd really like to be there, please reach out to Mark and he and I can connect on any changes. But otherwise, we have a nicely laid out schedule for you all for your planning purposes. We also have employee recognition, which I always love. We have a few this evening. So first, I'm going to cover just the folks who couldn't be with us. This month of June, we're recognizing Tyler Kubasek with the Health Department. He's been there for 5 years. Anne French at Water and Wastewater. She's been there for 10 years. And Jacob Reitz, who's been with the Police Department for 10 years. We also have another this evening that we do have present. So I'd like to invite up Assistant Chief Olson and Angela, if you would like to come on up.
All right, good evening, everyone. I have the honor tonight of presenting Angela with a certificate recognizing her for 5 years of dedicated service as an auxiliary officer with the Watertown Police Department. Our auxiliary officers are a tremendous resource for our department. They do so much throughout the year. For example, they help patrol and secure all the parks throughout the city, help with traffic control at parades, serve as a substitute for crossing guards, assist the community service officer with patrolling and writing parking tickets, help the records clerk with filing documents, and so much more. The work that they do helps alleviate some of the workload for our sworn officers, allowing them to handle more serious complaints. Angela has done all of this and more. A lot of the assignments Angela and many of our auxiliary officers sign up for take them away from their families during special occasions. All our auxiliary officers have said they wanted to do the job because they want to help not only in their community, but also the officers. It's great that we live in a community that has this level of support for their public servants. I thank Angela and her family for the time that she has given to our department. What stands out to me the most about Angela is her friendly demeanor. She is the perfect person for this position. She interacts extremely well with the citizens in our community. She is also extremely dependable and does everything she can to help, especially during difficult hours. She frequently signs up for overnight shifts and makes herself available after hours to handle major events. I've had to reach out to Angela about serious crashes and other events to help with traffic control in the middle of the night. Angela makes herself available whenever she can to come in and help. I am extremely appreciative of that, as I know it's not as fun having to deal with work and other commitments the next day. Angela, it is a pleasure to have you as an auxiliary officer with our department, and I look forward to working alongside you for many years to come.
Thank you, Angela. All right. Thank you, Angela, and thank you for coming. You may exit. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Our next item this evening is a presentation from Jefferson County Economic Development, Thrive ED Executive Director Deb Reinbold. I'm looking to, you got it over there? You're going to see if you got it? Okay. Deb, you can go right over there to that microphone. The city attorney is just working to pull up your presentation. Yep. You good? Okay.
Wonderful, thank you. Hi, so my name is Deb Reinbold, and I'm the Executive Director of Jefferson County Economic Development Consortium, and also the President of Thrive Economic Development, our 501c3 arm. So first, thank you all for inviting me to come out tonight. It's a pleasure to meet you all. And then I also wanted to recognize a couple of guests here in the room. We've got Nate Sellas, who's on our Board of Directors, and then our newest hire, Deb Seibel, who is our new Director of Community Development. So thank you again for letting us come in tonight. Next slide. So I thought I'd just set the stage by going back a year ago. So 1 year ago, we started out with a retreat where we were discussing what our next steps for the organization would be, what our strategic plan would look like. So we developed our 2022-2026 strategic plan. We had a change in leadership. So Victoria Pratt was our executive director. She left in May. I became the interim in May, and then ended up becoming the full-time executive director last November. Part of the new strategic plan decided that housing development was going to be a part of what we were going to be looking at. And we also decided we would use RLFs to stimulate new investment within the county. Next slide. So just a picture from that date. I don't know if you recognize, Tina Crave is listed or shown there. And we had 11 of our board members. And again, I've got 2 different boards that I report to. So it was both the public sector and private sector representatives that attended and participated in creating the strategic plan, which you'll see on the next slide. So historically, our organization has focused really on business retention, expansion, and attraction, or traditional economic development. You can see here, we've expanded that to also include an activated workforce, diverse housing, and trust and partnerships. Next slide. So through thriving businesses, we look at ourselves as connectors between people, resources, and sites and buildings. So anytime a business comes to us looking to expand, we'll help them in any of those ways. Also businesses that are just looking for additional support as they're trying to make their way in the community, we'll work with them in any way that they need. Next slide. We manage the revolving loan fund for the city of Fort Atkinson. They have what's called a Capital Catalyst revolving loan fund. And so you see a couple of the headlines there. Within the past year, actually 2022, we also helped Nestle Purina as they planned their $100 million expansion in Jefferson. Next slide. Oh, go back one. You're stealing my fire. That's okay.
Oh, go ahead.
All right. So just a summary overall in 2022. So we had 86 projects that we worked on. 11 of those resulted in new investment and/or jobs. We had a couple of projects in there that, even though they were successful, we didn't include in our numbers. We're trying to be as transparent as possible here. But the reason that we didn't is because even though we worked on the project, we didn't help them get across the finish line. So didn't feel it would be right in order to include that. Now I should mention in this, 150 plus jobs seems like a big number. A lot of the companies that we work with are smaller numbers. And so 100 of those jobs all are for Nestle Purina. But again, looking to be completely transparent here, the number of the $104 million that's invested, again, that looks like a really significant number. It is. But again, we work with businesses of all sizes. And so, from 1 year to the next, those numbers will fluctuate fairly significantly. Next slide, please. So here, activated workforce. Part of the reason that this is part of our priorities, our strategic plan, is because Jefferson County has been slow growing. From 2010 to 2020, only 1,006 new residents within the county. And I know that you span both Dodge and Jefferson counties, but I've got the number here for Jefferson County. So if you hit the next button. In April 2023, the unemployment rate within Dodge County is 1.8%, 1.9% in Jefferson County. To me, that means that, there's very few people who are still left available to work. And in fact, as I look at those numbers, I asked our marketing director to go through and pull it up. 1.8% in Dodge County is 863 people, and in Jefferson County, that's 886 people. So very few people are out there looking for work. Next. So we saw an opportunity. We learned in the Whitewater School District, 18% of their students are multilingual learners, approximately 400, that equates to approximately 400 students. And so what we're hearing is there's a lot of refugees that are moving into the county. And so we needed a way to try and engage with that population so we could help to support the businesses that are here and help find a workforce so that they would continue to grow and expand here and not in another community. So next. So the way that we did that here in Watertown, we hosted 2 career fairs in partnership with the Latino Academy of Workforce Development. So November 17th of 2022, that was our first career fair that we had partnered with the Latino Academy. And then May 11th at the Watertown Library. This last event, I think, was a good success. We had over 60 potential employees that had walked through. We had one employer who said that they had 18 applicants at that event. So very positive feedback. And I think the more that we establish a relationship with the community, hopefully we'll build trust and we'll continue to grow those numbers. Next, please. Diverse housing. I don't know if any of you have heard or know someone who's been looking for housing, but that's a huge challenge within the county. And so we're trying to work on that. Probably for the last year and a half, through our engagement with CARW and with NAAP, which are different organizations that specifically work with developers. We've met a number of different developers and have offered to give them tours throughout the county. So typically the way that will work is they'll come in by me, we'll have a central meeting place, and then they'll ride with me. And we'll go throughout the county, and we will stop at different areas. We'll set up meetings with potential property owners or different communities, and we'll let them see, we'll expose them to the communities and talk to them about the opportunities that are available within the county. So last year, I probably had maybe 10 different developers that have come through, and I can tell you a lot of interest here in Watertown. We've had a number of different developers on multiple sites here within the community, but we go through and we have a database of different development opportunities that we then share with the developers and make introductions there as well. Next, please. We have what we call the Heartland Housing Initiative. So we partnered with both Dodge and Jefferson counties and WEDC, and the Greater Watertown Community Health Foundation. So the foundation put $40,000 into a fund. The WEDC, or the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, put $50,000 in, and both Dodge and Jefferson counties both put an equal amount into this fund. Basically, it was a fund that would allow for consulting dollars for different communities. So each community got to go and apply. Any community that were interested, I should say, in additional housing were able to apply to this fund. And again, we had $125,000 in consulting dollars, and we had, I want to say, 7 communities participated in this, and they're just finishing that up now. If you could move to the next. Housing Summit. So on May 18th, we hosted a housing summit. So the goal here was to try and bring in communities and developers and local, honestly, different experts. I know Jonathan was there, Emily was there. So we had a great turnout. We had about 115 people who showed up that day and learned about the need for housing within our county. According to Tracy Cross and Associates, they do market studies for a lot of developers, we learned that within the county we have a deficit of about 3,500 market rate homes. That does not include affordable housing. And our vacancy rate is at most 2%, possibly as low as 1%. So we know that we've got some work here in order to provide additional housing. And if you go to the next, thank you. We are developing the Live Local Revolving Loan Fund. And so the county has taken $1 million of ARPA funds, and the Greater Watertown Community Health Foundation has committed $2 million of funds to put into this Live Local Revolving Loan Fund. And what we're trying to do is use that to hopefully get a total $10 million fund that we can support housing development within the county at a below market rate to help support development here. We are going to have that all ready for applications for developers. We're looking at August for that. And we've already got conversations. We're targeting different lenders to come into that fund. And again, we're looking at least a $10 million fund. Next, please. Then we're also partnering with the city of Watertown here, working with them. We've been working closely with Mason and trying to go through and develop the First Citizens Bank Loan Fund. So they're looking at investing. They have, banks have what's called Community Reinvestment Act obligations. And so they've expressed interest in putting together a revolving loan fund to help support people in a certain census tract. And 80% of the area median income, and there's different requirements to it, but we've been working closely in putting together the policies and procedures. And then we'll actively work with the city and with the First Citizens Bank in going through and trying to help market this program. And the goal here is to try and layer funds. We recognize that the city has been really thoughtful in this and putting $100,000 in ARPA funds to support this same type of development. And so our goal is to use that in addition to some of the other funds that are available through the Home Consortium. Next, please. That also then leads to our HUD certification. So again, I had mentioned Deb Seibel just joined our team. She's helping us to go to cross the finish line for our HUD certification. So our organization historically has done counseling for first-time home buyers and then also help support people as they're looking with their rehab programs. And HUD a couple of years ago said that we wouldn't be able to do that counseling unless we, as an organization, got certified. My predecessor didn't think that was a priority, and so it was basically stripped from our budget, and the person who was doing that work was reassigned to other things. When I came on board, we shifted focus, especially given the new strategic direction for our organization, and we've been working on getting our HUD certification. So we hope to, hopefully by the end of the year, we'll be offering those classes. Next slide. Trust and partnerships. So in trying to build trust and partnerships, we're having events like this. So thank you again. This is the first time that I'll be coming in for this year, and I know Mayor McFarland has scheduled a couple other events. So I'm more than happy to communicate with all of you at any time if there's specific topics or things that I can assist you with. We also have a great partnership, again, with the Watertown RDA and with Mason. Provide them, typically Mason reaches out looking for different data points, and so, yeah, it's awesome. I'm glad that we're able to support you in that way. I'm on the board for the Bread Basket. For any of you that aren't familiar, the Bread Basket is an amazing food pantry here in Watertown. We've done a lot of work with the Jefferson County Chambers. Steve, I'm disappointed he's not in the room tonight, but we helped the Watertown Chamber go through their strategic plan. So we led that process. I'm also very closely working with the Workforce Development Board and Jeff Westra. And then I'm also on the Wisconsin Rural Partners Board so that we can get a more statewide effort, try and bring that here into Jefferson County. Next, please. So 2023 so far, very busy year. We announced earlier this year, I know that says 12 hours ago, it was, I believe in February, that Palermo was coming to Jefferson. And I think that's important for all of you to recognize that the workforce that they're looking for, they're adding 190 employees. I can tell you they were surprised at how few applicants were coming from Jefferson and how many were coming from Watertown and even as far as Beaver Dam and Illinois. So just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. The development deals that we're working on are real. The project that we're working on down in Jefferson is a significant investment. They're saying at least $100 million. And we're hoping to do similar things with some of the properties that you have here in Watertown. Next slide. Upcoming events. So on July 27th, I would welcome all of you or any of you to come to an education session that we have through JCEDC. It's the state of the county, and Ben Waymeyer will give an update on the county and the things that they're working on. We have something called Conversations with Thrive, and that's a way for people to come and become familiar with our organization. And so we're actually doing that in Oconomowoc at the Lake Country Dockhounds and doing a Dockhounds game. And then we have our next career fair with the Latino Academy. This one will be held down in Whitewater. Next. And then I thought it'd be important to highlight all of our investors. So here's our part of our private sector investors, and then if you go to the next slide. Just wanted to thank you all for your investment in our organization as well. So next slide just basically says thank you. And if you've got any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
questions for Deb? Mr. Schmidt? Mr. Schmidt, will you use your, thank you, sir. It's okay.
So you touched a little bit on the unemployment numbers. You mentioned Dodge being 1.8 and Jefferson being 1.9. Can you provide a greater context? Because when you look at unemployment numbers, it only reflects those who are in the system actively looking for work or receiving unemployment benefits. It doesn't count those who are underemployed, working below the means, or who aren't able to be coded in the system for whatever reason. So of the number that we have known of the 1.9 for Jefferson, how much greater of that number do you think exists realistically that's underemployed or who fell through the cracks and can't be counted in that number because either they're out of unemployment benefits or due to whatever technical issues they weren't able to actually apply for unemployment benefits?
I think that's a difficult number to gauge, but what I can tell you is the employers are still continuing to struggle to hire people. It eased up slightly, probably within the last 6 months, but it's still difficult. Even if we were to go through and double that number, 1,500 people as we're looking at employers that are trying to expand. So I apologize, I can't give you an exact number, but
It's not one to really get an exact number, just trying to understand how much of a impact, if you're still having employers difficulties, is there a general site that you have through your organization that is accessible from the general public, or is it just a general like head-hunting site that's used?
I would say it's more anecdotal, right? So the employers that I talk with, they're all still having challenges, and there are other employers who are taking people, even entry-level employees, and they're challenged to find that. As far as the underemployed, I'm sure there's still a number of people who are underemployed. There are opportunities that are advanced levels. I can tell you, for instance, Palermo, when they're looking, if anyone has any skills in maintenance, there's a huge need. And Palermo's was looking at paying $52 plus an hour for that position for their maintenance manager. So, again, I'm not sure exactly how to answer your question, but I can tell you anecdotally, there's definitely a need for additional employees.
Okay, so clarify the second question for you then.
Please.
The employers that are struggling to find candidates, regardless of their qualification, just candidates in general to sort through, how are they trying to find those candidates? Are they using an online headhunting service? Are they just using ads in the local paper, radio? How are they trying to cast that net to find those candidates?
That's going to vary from employer to employer, right?
Okay.
So a lot of them are using employment agencies. I've heard that Indeed is now starting to work again. There was quite a while where that wasn't very successful. So there's different online applications. Most people aren't using newspapers, although some, especially if they're doing a big group. Department of Workforce Development, they'll go through and they'll bring in entire teams and host a career fair on site. I can tell you WISPAC has had regular job fairs where people just are able to walk in on certain days. So it really varies from employer to employer.
Okay, I'm just trying to see if there's a central location that someone who's new to the county can go to and says, I'm looking for work, I'm new to the area, I'm not familiar with what businesses are here, like that huge expansion is
Yep.
one I was apparently unaware of. Is there a central location someone new to the county can go to find that information to look for?
Department of Workforce Development, they're located in my building in Jefferson.
Okay, so they would have all the answers.
Absolutely.
All right.
Every single one.
And there's the bus.
Yeah. Other questions for Deb? Ms. Davis?
I was really interested to hear how you are working with youth who are bilingual and really providing for some opportunities there with job force training. And then also just the job fairs were really interesting to me, especially the ones you've had in the library and elsewhere. So here's my question, and something I'm just generally curious about. As we have migrants or refugees coming into those job fairs, do they have legal work status? Or is that something that has to be navigated through?
So it depends on the employee, right? The person that comes through there are a number of people who come in who are undocumented, and then there's others who are refugees. And so part of what I'm learning is when they come into the country, they have a year in order to go through the asylum process. And so that's something that we're discussing with our board. The board has directed me that my suggestion was that we could go through and kind of make an easy process for them to get connected with an attorney. And our board has said, that's not our role, but if we can go through and find a partner to do that, we can help to support them in that way.
That's helpful, thank you.
Absolutely.
Anyone else with questions for Deb? All right, well, thanks, Deb. I appreciate you
you.
coming this evening. It's nice to meet you, Deb number 2. And
We'll come up with a different name.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you. All right, so the next item in your packet is the May monthly fire department report. Questions for the chief? Ms. Davis?
I have an observation. I was looking, because May was a record month, and so I was kind of looking at the breakdown, and you've got the right chart there, the 3-year comparison of May calls. And I noticed the hazmat calls. The last 2 years, 4 and 4, and then in May of this year is 12. Do you, off the top of your head, know what was going on there? Or?
Off the top of my head, no, but I could take an educated guess and say that in the refrigerant reporting system, something changed where now maybe a fuel spill
Is counted.
classified as hazmat or
Okay. Understand. Thank you.
Anything you want to add back there? I know this report's your thing.
Yeah, so hazmat calls fall underneath, like you said, fuel spills, to clean up, or they're called for cleanup. Skill calls, gas leaks, those all fall underneath hazmat.
Okay.
Any other questions? All righty. Let's go then to new business. We have 2 versions of committee appointments. I don't really think for any good reason, other than that I suspect 2 people put them in. So our first is a committee appointment to the library board for Mariela Rodriguez. Mr. Lampe?
I would like to move the appointment of Mariella to the library board.
Thank you. Is there a second to that? Second by Mr. Bartz. Anybody have questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The next on the other side of that is the committee appointments for Alderperson Board. These are the same committees that Alderperson Smale was assigned to. We just slotted in Mr. Board. Motion on this one? Yeah.
I'd like to move that alderperson board be appointed to Public Works, Public Safety, Tourism, and the Bike and Pedestrian Path Task Force.
Motion by Mr. Lampe, second by Ms. Davis. Questions on these? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, so, oh,
May I abstain from that, Mayor?
yes.
Thank you.
So for our guests in the room and for anyone attending remotely, we will be going into closed session for just a brief moment. So in a moment, I'm going to ask Mrs. Chief Olson, Mr. Stevens, all of you, Chief, and the folks online, I'll mute. So, but you can stay legally until I ask for you to ask for this. So can I please have a motion to go to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85(1)(F) for the purpose of considering financial, medical, social, or personal history or disciplinary data for a specific person, preliminary consideration of specific personnel, or the investigation of charges against specific persons, except where paragraph B applies, which is discussed in public, would be likely to have a substantial adverse effect on the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data or involved in such problems or investigations. Mr. Wetzel? Motion by Mr. Wetzel, second by Mr. Schmidt. We'll take the roll. Mr. Wetzel? Oh, actually, why am I calling the roll? Sorry.
Wetzel? Moldenhauer?
Aye.
Davis? Lampy? Board?
Aye.
Bartz?
Aye.
Blanky?
Aye.
Schmidt? Motion passed 8-0.
Okay, before we get started, Jane Ellen and Christine, can you guys hop off? And then I can text you guys when you can hop back on, because Steve is on, so I can't. Let me see if Jordan can come in
To
for that.
understand more treble than bass. Bass is muddy, it takes away from your voice. The treble is more clear, it'll cut through.
Okay, I'm going to ask Jordan to come in a minute, because that I can't, I don't think I have that power.
I heard it on the.
Oh, did you? So adjusting for treble and bass are the limits of my technical ability.
Adding
Can-
more treble and cutting back on the bass so it's more clear.
I can try to do that.
Do that, please.
All right. Oh, Mark. Yes.
Hi, I was wondering if it's also possible to entertain moving like 3A up higher in the agenda,
3A?
13A. That's the Belinsky
I
one.
mean, we certainly can. My hunch is these next few items will take all of 5 minutes, if you're okay with that. I appreciate you
I
thinking
hope
about it.
you're right.
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
Thank you for trying.
Yeah. I mean, you stuck it out at the last meeting.
That was long.
I'm aware of that.
All right. I think I've reminded everybody. So we should be back. Our next item is the accounts payable.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Moldenhauer, second by Mr. Wetzel. Any discussion from anyone on the accounts? All right. All those in favor, please say aye. Oh,
Aye.
I apologize. I can't do that. Megan, please take the roll.
Moldenhauer. Davis.
Aye.
Lampy. Board.
Aye.
Bartz. Blanky. Schmid. Wetzel. Motion passed 8-0.
Thank you. Next is miscellaneous business. You have payroll summary from May 17th to 30th and the cash and investment summary for the end of May. Questions on those? Comments on those? All right, then let's go to licenses. The first is the memo from Megan on summarizing all of the licenses before you this evening. So let's go to our first for action, which is an application for a temporary Class B for the American Legion. This is for their 4th of July celebration. Is there a motion on this one? Mr. Lampy?
I move to approve the temporary Class B for American Legion at
Motion.
Riverside Park.
Motion by Mr. Lampy,
Second.
second by Mr. Bartz. Discussion from anybody? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Very good. Our next is also an action item for a temporary Class B license. This is for the Downtown Craft Beer Walk hosted by the Main Street Program on July 13th. This is the addition of the location of Morgan Ashley Lynn Photography. Is there a motion on this one?
So move.
Motion by Mr. Moldenhauer, seconded
Second.
by Mr. Blanky. Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, our next is an application for a temporary Class B license for the Main Street Program. This is for the Benson Family Town Square Concert on June 22nd. Is there a motion on this one?
Make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Bartz,
Second.
second by Mr. Blanky. Discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next is, again, an application for a temporary Class B. This is for the Rotary, again for the Square, but this is for the concert on June 24th.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Blanky, second by Mr. Bartz. Discussion from anybody? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? And then our next is an action item for an application for a Class B malt and liquor for Rock River LLC doing business as the River Tap. This is at 1022 North 4th Street. Is there a motion on this one?
Make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Bartz, second by Mr. Moldenhauer. Questions? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, our next is our annual renewals. We will have a few exhibits here. Our first is Exhibit A. This is for the Class B Combo Malt and Liquor License, the Class A Malt, the Class B Malt, the Class C Wine, and the Class A Combo Malt and Liquor License. Is there a motion to approve Exhibit A?
So moved.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Blanky, second by Mr. Bartz. Anyone have any questions on Exhibit A? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, next is the renewal of our secondhand article and jewelry licenses. This is Exhibit B in your packets. Is there a motion on this one? Motion by Mr. Wetzel, seconded by Mr. Blanky. Questions on this one?
So,
Yes, Mr. Lampy.
so it says not submitted on 2 of these. What is that, what state does that put them in?
On Exhibit B,
Yes.
Megan?
It means that they have not turned in their paperwork,
I can't fix that.
and I would recommend a conditional approval on if they turn it in. What's going on with that? Before June 30th, otherwise they will
Have to
a last-
reapply?
yeah.
So we would look for, thank you for pointing that out. Who made our original motion? Mr.
Wetzel.
Wetzel? And the second was Mr. Blanky. So I'm checking to see if you both are comfortable amending the motion to approve Exhibit B to have the 2 items for Hunter Borkman to be conditioned upon him returning the items by June 30th. Sir?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Is that sufficient? Anybody else? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody, anyone opposed? All right, and then our next is an application for an operator license for Damian Chagoya. I believe this one was recommended for denial, if I'm recalling correctly. Correct, Megan? Yeah. Is there a motion on this one? Mr.
I move
Pope?
we deny the license
Thank
for
you.
Damian Chagoya.
Motion by Mr. Blanky,
Second.
second by Mr. Bartz. Any questions? Yes.
I just want to make sure we've got paperwork for that and recommendation. Is that in the packet?
Normally Megan writes it in the memo. It's in the memo. Yes, right at the bottom of the first page, right before her name.
Okay.
Category 1 in our licensing guidelines was the denial.
Got it. Okay, 79.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
All those in favor of the denial, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, very good. Let's go to ordinances. 5 minutes on the head, Mr. Donovan. Our first is ordinance 23-17. This is to adopt the planned unit development and general development plan for the Belinsky Hunter Oaks development. You see the PIN numbers listed there. This is for me and the Plan Commission on the second reading.
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Blanky, second by Mr. Lampy. Any questions or comments? All right, Megan?
Blanky?
Aye.
Schmid? Wetzel? Moldenhauer? Davis?
Aye.
Lampy? Board?
Aye.
Bartz? Motion passed 8-0.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Our next is our resolutions. The first is Exhibit 9519. This is a resolution to approve a budget amendment to increase our interest and investment account by $18,500 and increase our bridge repair and reserve account by $18,500. Is there a motion on this one?
I'll make that motion for the resolution to approve the budget amendment to increase the interest investments, $18,500.
Motion by Ms. Davis, second by Mr. Bartz. Mr. Stevens, would you provide just a little insight here?
Yes, the Public Works staff and I met together to try to determine how can we solve this need. And my suggestion to them was for us to increase the interest earnings budget. That budget started this year at $25,000. The actual to date is $79,000. So there's plenty of wiggle room there to add this additional 18.5.
Any other questions? All right, Megan?
Davis? Lampy? Board?
Aye.
Bartz?
Aye.
Blanky?
Aye.
Schmid? Wetzel?
Aye.
Moldenhauer?
Aye.
Motion passed 8-0.
Very good. Next is Exhibit 9520. This is to approve environmental access agreement with Johnson Controls to perform some environmental activities at the Watertown Municipal Airport property. Is there a motion on this one? Mr. Lampe?
I move to approve the access agreement.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Lampe, second by Ms. Davis. Comments or questions on this one? Yeah.
Just a question. Is there, obviously they want access to add 2 more wells for testing. Is there concern from long-term contamination or just recent updates to that?
I'm going to go to either Mr. Wetzel, Mr. Board, or Ms. Holloway. If any one of you three would like to jump in. Jane Ellen, are you familiar?
I didn't
hear the
hear the question.
Oh, the question was, yeah,
So,
is your mic on? Maybe move it a little closer to you.
okay. Was there a recent event that triggered this request for additional access, or is this something they've been monitoring and they're just concerned they want to just keep a closer eye on something?
It's the latter. There's already 3 monitoring wells out there, and there's requests to add.
So they just want to get more information on long-term testing?
Correct.
Good question. Any other questions on this one? Megan?
Lampe? Board?
Yes.
Bartz?
Aye.
Blanky?
Aye.
Schmid?
Aye.
Wetzel?
Aye.
Moldenhauer?
Aye.
Davis? Motion passed 8-0.
Thank you. Next is Exhibit 9521. This is a resolution to transfer up to 58.996 acres of land from the wastewater department to the general city fund. This is here from Mr. Wetzel in Public Works and also Plan Commission on a positive recommendation.
So move for 951.
9521. Motion by Mr. Wetzel, second by Mr. Moldenhauer. Questions, comments? All right, Megan.
Wetzel?
Aye.
Moldenhauer?
Aye.
Davis? Lampe?
Aye.
Board?
Aye.
Bartz?
Aye.
Blanky?
Aye.
Schmid?
Aye.
Motion passed 8-0.
Very good. Our next item is comments and suggestions from citizens present. Online, we only have our city team, and in the room, I don't see anybody hopping up. So with that, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Moldenhauer, second, Mr. Schmid? All right, second by Mr. Schmid. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, we are adjourned.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.